Trusted Americans salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payment. So go to trustedamerican.com and see how much they can save you today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Off Court. We're going to talk all things Nuggets with you and maybe look at some other stuff around the league that might be interesting. He is Ruben Villalobos.
What is up, everybody? Thanks for having me on, BK.
And I'm Brandon Krisztal. You call me BK. You, as I mentioned last night, for any of the couple thousand folks that caught us post-game, are as big a Nuggets fan as I know. You got your Nuggets and Brews Instagram page. You go to how many games do you go to as a fan a year when we're not making you work? If there's 41 home games. How many do you think?
Oh man, well, so far I think I've gone to maybe 10 games, and I am a season ticket holder, and so now that I have to do some sports stuff here, I have to kind of sell them off. So hey, anyone is interested in some Nuggets tickets? Let me know. Drop a comment below.
Yeah,
let me know.
But you as a Nuggets fan, I know, just like Liv is, and I was texting with her, talking with her a little bit. She's still under the weather, but hopefully going to start trending up here. To lose all three games of this road trip feels devastating. And so my job last night, I felt like a therapist. But as a fan, to see them blow a lead in Minnesota, to see them let the Bulls shoot like they're the best shooting team in the history of basketball, and then to see them lose a tough one to the Knicks where every time they got close and or had a lead in the third quarter, they just couldn't ever really build on that. How tough is it right now in Nuggets Nation for Nuggets fans like yourself?
It's weird because all season we've had this like discussion of ebbs and flows, and the Nuggets look good and then they look bad. I think right now we're in that bad moment. After the Nuggets went 12-3 in like a 15-game stretch where they looked really good. Now you kind of look at them and you're like, oh boy, like what is happening? Because now Jamal Murray's playing better, and it seems like Jokic hasn't been kind of himself lately, and it's just like there hasn't been like a consistent like team, like everything together coming together at once. It seems like there's still like issues here and there, and again we're now in this bad moment of the Nuggets where now we have to start questioning everything again. Now the MPJ trade discussions have to start all over again, and now there's concern with Jokic of like I was kind of looking at the game yesterday, and after he came off the bench after getting in foul trouble, he comes in, has a couple of plays, and then he's got he makes a bucket off of a spin move, and then he starts limping. And then after that, even Scott Hastings on Altitude mentioned like, hey, he's kind of limping a little bit. And then for me, after that, he just wasn't attacking the rim that much anymore. He wasn't like himself anymore. He was taking a lot more threes. I think he attempted like 6-8 threes yesterday. And he just didn't look like himself. And obviously a lot of people noticed that yesterday, but going back to the 3-game losing streak, it feels kind of devastating right now because of just like the way they've lost. But the Nuggets are still kind of right there. They're still in the 4th spot. It would have been great to get at least one of the games.
One of these three games so
would
far,
have been great so far,
to
at least kind of keep pace in the West. But luckily, so far we're kind of cemented that 4th spot. So moving forward, it's like after this road trip, you do have some home games that you can kind of get yourself right against the Pelicans out of all teams. Just kind of get yourself right. So
you're 3 games behind the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
To try to catch them for that 3 spot. You're 4.5 games behind Houston. You're going to see them 2 or 3 more times because they only played the Rockets once and at full strength with Joker and AG, who were not there a few weeks back when they came to town. You got to like their chances against this young team. Certainly, you'd like it in the playoffs. I just think you want to avoid OKC until the Western Conference Finals if you can, just because we know how good OKC is. We know how this losing streak is eating up Nuggets fans. Let's hear from Michael Malone last night, courtesy of the Nuggets. This is the head coach following the 3rd straight loss as they lose 122-112 to the Knicks.
Yeah, I think we were up 8 at one point in that third quarter. Got off to a great start coming out of the break. God bless. And I think they closed 27-12 after that. I think the big stat for me tonight is the turnovers. 20-point differential. They scored 23 points off our mistakes. We only scored 3 off of theirs. And to beat that team in this arena in front of that crowd, and you spot them 20 points off mistakes, it's going to be really hard to overcome, which led to the 25 fast break points. But, better fight, better effort. Just got to be a little bit cleaner.
With Nikola getting into foul trouble early on, how does changing your rotation sometimes impact the rhythm of a game?
Well, for him, it impacts it because, he's out at the 10:30 mark of the first with 2 quick fouls. And I was really proud of the group that closed out and played the rest of that quarter because I thought we weathered the storm. They got up by 12 early. We fought back. And we only lost that first quarter by 4. And the group to start the second quarter was playing well, and allowed us time to get Nikola back in. But in this league, you just can't allow those big runs that we did. Jalen Brunson had an amazing third quarter. I could have done a better job of trying to get the ball out of his hands because I think he had 18 points in that quarter. And he's a good player, and they're a very good team.
You guys didn't play out of Nikola quite as much in the second half. Does he need to look for those opportunities? Do teammates need to kind of find him more? What did you see in regards to that? Yeah, both. I mean, obviously Jamal was really aggressive tonight, which is a good thing. Jamal was looking for his. We called some post-up plays for Nikola, try to get him down there. And, maybe depending upon how they were guarding it, he was bumping back a lot, popping to the perimeter, not going down there. I'm sure it's probably a combination of things. And then I ran him the whole second half because he played so few minutes in the first half. But that's a lot to do, in this kind of a game, how physical they are, how fast they play. To play the third quarter and the fourth quarter. The lineup changed with Aaron back in the starting 5. What made you confident that he was ready for the increase in minutes again in that starting role, and then what went into the decision to go with Russ in that group still?
Yeah, just talking with Short, just talking with Aaron, feeling that we could get him, over 30 minutes. And if that's the case, then, he can go back to becoming our starting power forward. He's been our starting power forward since day one. He was our power forward when we won a championship. And, it's good to have him back out there. Never an easy decision. Christian Brown's been great for us this year. Not good, he's been great. And he's done everything that's been asked of him. But I just like keeping Russell out there. I think the Russ-Nikola dynamic is the best 2-man combination in the NBA right now. And I didn't want to disrupt their rhythm, knowing that CB, whether he comes off the bench and plays 29 minutes like tonight or he starts, he's going to give us the same thing every night. And we need that as a starter or coming off the bench. So I applaud CB's understanding of what we're trying to do. And, hopefully we can try to find a rhythm with that group.
It seems like Christian is, handled.
That seems like a good place to jump in.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there in just a handful of comments there from Michael Malone. Let's start with the obvious thing, and that's the Christian Brown being, to say he's benched is not accurate.
No.
That's a weird way to mischaracterize it because he still played 29 minutes. AG played 30, but he lost his starting job or was taken out of the starting lineup to make room essentially for Russell Westbrook, more so than for AG, because you want to start AG, you want to start MPJ.
Mm-hmm.
And so CB told Bennett Durando from the Post, I saw the quote because I didn't see any video, but I did see the quote, that he understands it. He worked really hard to get that spot, and he's going to work hard to get it back. He's going to say all the right things. He's going to play hard.
Mm-hmm.
But as Liv and I had talked about, and I know I'm sure you brought it up plenty too, it's not that big of a surprise that CB was the one that had to essentially fall on the sword to keep the starting lineup with Russ and the other 4 core guys.
Yeah, honestly, I don't like this move. And you've lost already 3 games with Russell in the starting lineup, and that's not a fault of his own. But this is where I have an issue with this: is you brought in Russell Westbrook to be the point guard for the bench, and now who is going to be that primary ball handler for the bench? It's like I get, like, whoever is in that whether it's Russell or whether it's Christian, like that starting five is going to do great. But the issue for the Nuggets have been the bench from 2 years ago, and it's even more so this year. So now you're taking a piece that was supposed to be, the primary ball handler, the veteran who was supposed to get that bench unit together. Now you move into the starting lineup, and now you're hindering your bench just because you want to. This is the problem with Malone. He doesn't know when to stop doing certain things. Like there's times where he leaves in the bench 2 minutes too long. This is one of those instances. You're going to leave the starting. You're almost going to jeopardize winning because you don't want to hurt other people's feelings. No, move him back to the bench. It's not a detriment towards Russell in any way. The same thing can apply to him as well. That the same thing is being applied to Christian Braun. Like, do it for the team. And this is going to be one of those moves. Like, you have to move Russell back to the bench in order for the starting unit to not only continue doing what they're doing, because with Christian Braun in the starting lineup, this is a great starting five. It doesn't matter who you put out there, but again, the bench unit has been the issue. You got to move him back to the bench.
The other thing he said there, though, at the very end, when he talked about why Russell Westbrook is in the starting lineup, was that Russ and Joker, according to Michael Malone, are the best two-man game in the league right now.
It's like, what is he watching?
Because Russ is going to see the floor a certain way, you understand that, what he's saying in terms of how they're going to make the right play. But without question, Jamal Murray and Joker had been the best two-man game in the league.
I still think they are.
And I think that they are, too, when Jamal's on. I know he had 33 points last night, but Jamal hasn't, all year long, hasn't looked like the Jamal that we see in the playoffs often, certainly that we saw 2 years ago when they won the NBA championship. Russ is never going to be able to knock down shots the way Jamal does, so it changes the dynamic of the two-man game. I think he said that differently than he meant it, if that makes sense. I think what he's saying is having those two guys out there makes us the most dangerous team in the NBA kind of thing. Like two guys that see the floor differently than almost everybody else. So having them out there together, combining their superpowers, if you will, that is the most dangerous thing in the league. And I think that's what he meant when he said that.
And they're still going to get minutes together. It's not, I mean, Jokic plays pretty much like 5 solid minutes with the bench unit.
Yeah,
so it's
certainly at the end of the first quarter, into the start of the second quarter.
So it's not like they're not going to end up playing together at all. It's just like once the whole bench unit comes in, it's like there's really no one else to kind of take hold of that. And now you have to bring in Jamal, and it's just the rotations look weird right now. Now that
CB's probably going to handle the ball some.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I liked AG with the second unit. I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And AG was saying all the right things. I understand why you want to start him.
Yeah.
And then you heard him talk about Joker. Joker picks up those 2 fouls early. Felt like Cat's fouls were dumber, and he had to sit late. But so Joker barely plays in the first half. That's why Malone said he ran him the whole time in the second half. But he goes 6 of 15. He does make 3 of 7 threes, and he just wasn't into the game. It didn't feel like. So they have back-to-back not great games. He had Serbian night in Chicago on Monday, and you know that Serbian dancing, and you can see all the Serbian fans that were there watching him warm up. It was obviously, it's always really cool because Chicago has the biggest Serbian population outside of the country of Serbia. And so I'm not going to get too worried about Joker having a rough game or two because he's the best player on the planet. But what do you think about what we saw from Joker in the Garden? He still understands what the Garden is and do you buy into anything? Because we did get some comments last night that he isn't the same against Cat because of how Cat played against them in the playoffs and how Game 7 went against the T-Wolves. I don't know if I buy into that, but it's a narrative you can bring up until he sees Cat again, I guess.
No, I think what New York was doing defensively, they were really packing the paint. And so whenever you had those direct handoffs, there was no space for Jokic to really roll. And so that's why he was popping off a little bit more to the perimeter, but also it begs the question, like, was Jokic kind of hurt yesterday? Because he was just not attacking. And even in transition, you would normally see Jokic picking the smallest dude on the court, posting him up, and then just receiving that ball and just kind of doing his thing down low. You didn't see a lot of that yesterday.
And you saw him miss some shots when he had smaller defenders on him that you thought, oh, that's a gimme, and it just goes off the front of the rim.
And so, I think it was a combination of the Knicks just packing the paint and just kind of crowding the space wherever Jokic was, because it seemed like wherever Jokic was, they were just really not necessarily double teaming him, but they were just keeping 2-3 people just around him to making those passes. That's why we saw a lot of deflected passes yesterday because Russell was trying to really.
It felt like too many. Like they were just a little too sloppy with the ball. And I guess you have to credit the Tibbs defense there with the Knicks and what they were able to do.
Yeah.
But it did feel like some silly, what felt like silly turnover. Sloppy is a really good way to put it. They looked really sloppy in that second half against the T-Wolves, and I think that was the difference in that game. But let's hear from Joker. He talked post game in the locker room. This again, courtesy of the Nuggets and Altitude TV.
How does getting in foul trouble early on like that kind of impact your rhythm and flow in the game?
I don't know. Did I get in foul trouble? I mean, maybe. I think I had like 4 more, so maybe I did get in foul trouble. I think I didn't make any. I actually made 1 in the end. But yeah, it's always like slow you down a little bit. And but the team played well. I think we were up. I think in one moment or something. No, we were down 1. I think 35-34. Or we were up to that, something like that. So the team played good. So I mean, it is what it is. It happens.
How do you fix the turnovers?
We don't fix it because we are doing it last 25 games. So I think we need to just find a way to live with them.
Going more macro here, how do you sum up your chemistry with Russell?
Terrible. I mean, I think we're still learning to play with each other. We are, finding the ways how to get better. I think it's good. So I think we can even be better.
I know it's only you only played them twice, but this team hurt you guys this year. What makes them so tough?
I think they hurt us the last couple of years. They're playing really well. They're well coached. They know what they're pushing the pace, and even in the half course, they know what they're doing. So they're really good. They're a really good team, and I think they are the favorites. Not a favorite, but like top 5 candidates for the title.
You guys haven't lost 3 in a row all season until this point. What do you feel like are the biggest priorities to fix?
I mean, I think maybe not to fix, maybe just to try to kind of work with them or just get a win. I think when we win, everything is good. We forget about bad stuff. Sorry.
You're pretty good at avoiding foul trouble generally. Just can you take me through that possession there with the quick 2 that you had on Cat?
I mean, I think the foul is a great option to save a basket. Of course, second one was the N1. I really personally didn't think that I hit him, but then I obviously hit him. The first one, he was a run-up for us, so that means that he cannot shoot the ball, and I kind of make him go downhill, and I foul him. It happens. So I think the foul is a good way to stop the easy points, because you have 4, so that's 8 points per quarter.
Second half, you guys didn't play out of you in the post quite as much as usual. What do you kind of attribute that to?
I mean, we did. I just went to the 3-point line and shoot the ball because I was chasing the points, So.
Nicola, I know it's weird times because it's going on for laws, but I'm working on a feature probably about the way you use your feet defensively. I know you haven't had as many kick balls as you did a couple of years ago, but it's a really unusual play for the league and something that you kind of excel at. How does it help defensively? I know it stops the flow of things, but
yeah, I think whatever you need to do to stop the flow, to disrupt the offense, to not let the ball flow. I think whatever you need to do, maybe it's a foul, maybe it's a kickball, whatever it is, just to put them like uncomfortable.
Was there ever a coach or someone that suggested to you to do it, or something that you just kind of come up with?
It's right there, so just kick it.
Have you ever had opponents get frustrated with you about it?
I don't think so.
Does your mentality change at all with the starting group, whether it's Aaron or Christian out there?
No. I think we are all professionals and we understand. So I think it didn't change for me.
Again, thanks to the Nuggets for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Joker, Forthcoming, didn't think the foul trouble. He didn't call it foul trouble. He was like, I have 4 more. He is a smart basketball player, but sometimes things are out of your. I mean, the smartest basketball player, they're out of your control. So I understand why Malone does that when it happens quickly. It's like we're going to need him down the stretch.
Yeah,
and we haven't talked about credit to the team because they let the Knicks go on a 15-0 run, or the Knicks went on a 15-0 run, that they were able to claw back and only be down 4 after 1.
Yeah,
because you thought that thing could have gotten out of hand real quickly. But I don't know if you could get a sense there as to why Joker doesn't spend a lot of time over analyzing when things don't go well. It's like, oh, this wasn't my night.
yeah. But the thing about Jokic though, anytime he's asked, like, what do the team has to do to get better? What does the team have to, adjustments and things like that? Jokic knows. He knows exactly what this team needs. He just doesn't want to say it quite yet.
Yeah.
He says it every once in a while, like when he's joking, it's like, oh, we need to, we got to be better at 3-point shooting and whatnot. You can tell in his eyes, he knows exactly what this team needs. He knows exactly what the deficiencies are on this team. It's just like, that's just not his character to call people out. I would like for Jokic to kind of start calling people out.
I don't think it's
not
happening.
necessarily like calling them out, but like, you know what? Yeah, we need to continue doing better at threes. We need to be better at defending perimeter, not allowing drive-bys every time. Maybe a subtle jabs here and there, like not necessarily directly at players, but like overall, like, we need to be better at some of this stuff. And granted, he was, still kind of joking after the game was over, saying like, the relationship with him and Russ it's just terrible. But
Yeah.
it was a funny moment. But like, he knows exactly what this team needs, and I think it's kind of frustrating him a little bit, and you can tell every once in a while, like it's hurting the vibes a little bit.
We saw it early in the year with some of those losses too, where he would say, I needed to do more, but you could sense the frustration. And so if they don't make a move at the trade deadline, some people are going to panic or whatever it may be. I'm not in the camp that, hey, they have to trade MPJ or go make a move. Let's see who gets bought out. I'm still interested in the Bruce Brown buyout scenario.
Yeah.
Trading for Brandon Ingram, I didn't even realize this until I went and looked. He hasn't played since December 7th, so he's still banged up. Now, I don't know if he has one of those miraculous, like Devontae Adams healing situations where he gets traded from the Raiders of the Jets. All of a sudden his hamstring's fine. He didn't miss a game. and so we'll see on Brandon Ingram. But in general, I don't want to trade for Zach LaVine if I'm a Nuggets fan. To me, that doesn't upgrade what you need. You need more perimeter defense.
Yeah. And even if I know there's like rumors like, oh, there's no more interest in Zach LaVine and things like that. But let's just be hypothetical. Like, let's say you do decide to go forward with the Zach LaVine trade. The one thing it can't be a player for player, obviously, because we know like you're not quite getting the same thing. But now you're going to have to include another player. I would say you would have to include either Peyton Watson or Christian Brown, because you're going to have to put Zach LaVine in that shooting guard position.
Yeah, you're running out of, like, you can make Bruce Brown work because of the way he plays and understanding his role. And I said that last night on our postgame. You're exactly right. Zach LaVine is going to command minutes.
Yeah,
and that's going to really mess with your rotation.
And I mean, you're still going to get good shooting. You're still going to get, great ball handling, being able to attack the rim. You're going to get more athletic as a whole, but you're going to have to supplement. You're going to have to include different players, maybe a third team to kind of be able to get another 6'10",
you're going to need somebody
6'9".
big.
You're going to have to get another big one, because
this is where Deron Holmes getting hurt really screwed up their plans.
It really, really did. And also Coach Malone not playing Dario Saric is absolutely hindering the Nuggets as well. Like,
there is,
why is he not
scenario,
playing? Like, it's so weird.
There's a scenario where you could trade Dario because he has played well other stops before he got here and
Yeah.
has played well the last couple of years, and that's why they gave him a little bit of money to come here, not a lot of money. But yeah, you could trade Dario Saric. But I started to get into all that trade stuff because it's every time they lose, it's easy to say
Trade everybody except Jokic.
but that they're wasting Joker's prime.
Yeah.
And if they don't win championships, more championships around this, it's a fair argument. You can say that around a lot of great players who didn't get enough help in their prime, although most teams aren't going to just sit on their hands and do nothing.
It's just,
but they have it is a good team around him, even though it isn't current all-stars.
Mhm.
We know Russ is a Hall of Famer, 9-time All-Star, all of that. He's not an All-Star this year. And so Jamal will stay on that list of best players to not be an all-star because odds are he's not getting added, even if it feels like Anthony Davis may miss the all-star game with an oblique strain, depending on how that goes. And there's always one or two bumps or bruises that keep guys out of the all-star game. But it's easy to say that, but it's not necessarily untrue. Like, it feels like low-hanging fruit when you say, oh, they're wasting Joker's prime. But when they lose dumb games or don't play a certain way or have lackluster effort, then I think that's fair to criticize the way his team plays around him when he's the best player on the planet, and on nights when he's on the court but isn't having a great night because he's in foul trouble or because the shot's not falling. It's your job to pick him up because he picks you up every other night and makes you better. And that's where I think fans are frustrated, and you can understand why. And basketball fans writ large, beyond just Nuggets Nation, want to see Joker, who's been such a great individual player. They want to see him win another ring or two and really cement his legacy as one of the handful of best players we've ever seen, because he has the rings to go with the MVPs and everything else.
Yeah. Well, speaking of trades, I just don't think, like you said before, you don't think they're going to do anything at the trade deadline.
Nothing big.
Yeah,
like not a Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do anything big. And if they do anything, I think some of the players, they're going to end up being moved. It's going to be hard to move them. One, because they're not great 3-point shooters. Like, we don't have a lot of players that are great 3-point shooters. And I don't think other teams
are giving that up
because their shooters are hard to come by. And, contracts and everything like that also have to match up. So it's going to be incredibly hard because the Nuggets need more 3-point shooting. It's been a must for a couple years now, even in the championship run. Other teams are not going to look at our players like Christian Brown, Payne Watson for our 3-point shooters. Absolutely not. It's just not going to happen. And so it wouldn't surprise me that they don't do anything, but it's because no other teams are willing to give up what you have for what they have. It's a weird dilemma that the Nuggets are in right now. And again, going back to the whole wasting Jokic's prime thing, it's kind of it's kind of true and it's kind of not, but at the same time, it's like this, you can't waste anymore. That's the thing. Like, you cannot just assume like, oh, these players are going to develop into all this and that. Zeke Naji hasn't developed. There's just players on the roster that just haven't developed, and we decided to give them contracts and keep them on the roster. And it's just like there's just a weird disconnect again between front office, coach, and then players. There's this weird dynamic going on with the Nuggets, and I don't like it right now. They're in this weird funk, and I don't know what to make of it right now. There's just not information coming out of the light, and of course you don't want to create more drama, giving information out to the media, but there's just something odd with the Nuggets right now, and I can't quite put it together.
You talked about the vibes, and the vibes do feel off. And we thought early on it was figuring out the Russ Jamal dynamic.
Yeah,
that seems to have worked itself out. And I don't think CB getting moved to the bench is a vibes thing. But and he played well enough last night and played hard. But it does can just kind of mess with the chemistry, because the AG roll off the bench was working. And so maybe they do go back to that if things don't pick up. They've got winnable games coming up. I'm sorry we haven't gotten to more comments, although Marco and Joe are really and Hawk's Breast are just going at it. The three of them in the comment.
Any good comments?
Well, one said they wish Liv was here because she's better to look at. We're not going to argue much. She's just not feeling well. Somebody else said just to mute us and have fun talking to each other in the chat. And that's okay. As long as you keep it up playing.
2 years ago when they got the chip, I said trade Murray, everyone laughed. Now it's really funny.
Yeah, and that is one thing also that I pointed out last night on postgame, is that you can't trade him with that new contract. You can't trade him until at least the offseason. And so they're not going to do that. He's not on the trade block.
I guess from here on out, that's still on the table for next year. So depending on how Murray plays in the playoffs, if he plays really well.
But if he plays really well, then you're going to want to keep him.
Now you're going to want to keep him again. And so
you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're going to ride with the horses that brung you. He is a Malone guy. He and Malone have certainly a very unique relationship. And so if Malone's getting the best out of him, I just always question, for a guy that loves MMA and UFC, why doesn't he seem necessarily tougher is always a question. So we appreciate everybody hanging with us. Thanks again to our friends at Trusted American. I know that holidays can be obviously put a strain on our wallet. Well, Trusted American wants to help you lower your mortgage payment, maybe get a couple months where you don't have to make a mortgage payment. Go to trustedamerican.com right now and see how they can help you refinance your home and not have to make any payments perhaps for those couple of months. Like I mentioned, Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants. They want to help you get into a better interest rate, lower that payment, and they'll help cover the cost of an appraisal. That's about a $650 value. So go to trustedamerican.com right now. You see our QR codes pop up all the time as well, so you can click on those. But trustedamerican.com. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully Liv is back sooner than later, including
better,
as early as
Liv.
post game tomorrow night, or you might have
Chad
me or
doesn't like my
Ruben
face.
talking.
Chad don't like our faces. Come
Sorry,
back,
hey,
Liv.
we get it. We get it. Either way,
I'm gonna have to start
we
wearing some makeup
appreciate
next time
we
I do
appreciate
the
you
show.
tuning in to this and every episode of Off Court. He's Ruben Villalobos, and I'm Brandon Krisztal, and we will catch you next time here on Off Court and post game tomorrow night after the Nuggets Sixers.
See you, everybody.